My hands shook as I stared at the printed emails across the conference table. The HR manager's voice was calm, but her eyes burned with judgment. "Did you really send these to the VP at 1:43 a.m., Yolanda?" I blinked hard.
My mouth was dry.
The words were vulgar, unprofessional, vicious. I had never written anything like that. Ever. "I did not send those," I whispered, feeling my knees go numb beneath the seat. "But they were sent from my company account, from my IP address. At a time, I was asleep beside my boyfriend, Antonio. Or so I thought. The weight in my chest grew heavier by the second. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Because the man I loved, the man I lived with, the man I was planning to marry, he was the only other person with access to that laptop. And suddenly, I could not breathe. Before I continue, I just want to take a moment to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. Your support truly means the world to me. And to all our new and returning viewers who are yet to hit that subscribe button, what are you waiting for? Your subscription is the fuel that keeps this channel alive and burning strong. I cannot wait for you to join this growing community. Please do not forget to drop your thoughts in the comments, like the video, and share it with someone who might need to hear the story. Now, back to what really happened, and how the man I trusted turned my entire life upside down. My name is Yolanda. I was 32 years old when this happened. I had spent 7 years building my career in corporate communications, working for a mid-sized tech firm in Ohio. I had just led the PR strategy for a major acquisition and was days away from being named head of the department. I lived in a small but beautiful townhouse in Columbus with my boyfriend, Antonio. He was 34, worked in cybersecurity, and had charm that could melt glass. But behind that smile, there was always something cold. In the early years, he was magnetic. He cooked. He surprised me with flowers. He praised my ambition. But little by little, that changed. He started saying I worked too much, that I cared more about my emails than our relationship. He asked for my phone passcode just in case. He made jokes about my male coworkers, told me I was lucky. He was patient with me. Then he stopped joking.
He became
watchful. I brushed off the early warnings. He had a hard childhood. He just wanted to feel secure. I thought love meant compromise. Until that day in HR. They said the emails were forwarded from my company laptop, which I always left on the dining table at night. Antonio had every opportunity. He even helped me install software updates on it. That realization hit me like ice water. He knew my passwords, my schedule. My promotion was public knowledge. He saw me rising, and it scared him. That night, I went home and stared at him while he scrolled through Netflix. He looked so relaxed, so normal. "I had a rough day," I said quietly. He looked up, tilted his head, and asked, "Did something happen at work?" That was when I knew, because I had never told him. I slept with one eye open that night. And when the official termination letter hit my inbox 3 days later, Antonio popped a bottle of wine to cheer me up. That was the moment I realized. He wanted me jobless. So I could never leave. Losing my job felt like a funeral, not just for my career, but for the woman I used to be. The ambitious one, the self-assured one, the woman who made her own money, had her own goals, and stood tall in every room. That version of me was gone the moment I walked out of that office with a cardboard box full of memories and shame I did not earn. Antonio acted like a hero. He rubbed my back, cooked dinner, told me everything would be fine. He said maybe this was a sign that I needed to rest.
rest.
After sabotage? When I confronted him gently, carefully, he deflected with pity. "You must be so stressed, babe. You are not thinking straight. It was probably just a glitch or spam. You work too hard. You need to learn to let things go." Let things go? He said it with a kiss on my forehead and a hand gripping my shoulder just a little too tightly. That was his way, sweetness on the surface, control in the roots. Within 2 weeks, he had convinced me to let go of my lease and move fully into his apartment to cut costs while I figured things out. He started managing our shared finances. He said we needed to be a team now. But in reality, I had no job, no income, and no privacy. I began to feel like a child in my own life. I tried to apply for new jobs. He told me not to rush it. He said my references were tainted anyway, that it would look desperate, that I needed to let the dust settle. He called it strategic waiting, but it was not waiting. It was prison. Then came the gaslighting. Every time I mentioned the emails again, he acted hurt. "Why would you think I would ever do something like that to you?" He asked once, with tears in his eyes. And I almost believed him, but my gut screamed louder. One afternoon while he was out, I sat with my laptop and remembered something. Antonio had always insisted on being the one to secure our home Wi-Fi. He had access to all our devices. So I searched the router history. I needed proof I was not losing my mind. That was when I saw it. Remote login. The night the emails were sent, there was activity from my laptop while I was asleep. I checked the timestamp. 1:43 a.m. The same time the vulgar email was sent. The IP matched. The only other person who could have done it was him. I wanted to scream, but I felt cold. I printed the logs and hid them under a pile of old books. I did not know what to do yet. I just knew I could not let him know I was onto him. The next blow came a week later. While cleaning the closet, I knocked over one of Antonio's old shoeboxes. It was full of wires, chargers, and a second phone. A phone I had never seen. My stomach flipped. It had no lock. I powered it on and found dozens of messages pretending to be me, written in my tone, using my email style, drafted to various coworkers. The phone was logged into a dummy email account with my name in it, but the profile picture was a headshot I never took, one he had taken of me, without my knowledge, weeks before. He had set me up, layer by layer, message by message, and I had been sleeping beside the man who destroyed my future with a smile. As I held that burner phone in my hand, one new message popped up on the screen. It read, "Do not forget what happens when you cross me." I dropped the phone. My heart pounded. He knew I had found it. My fingers were trembling, but I did not let go of that phone. I locked it in my old makeup case and pushed it under the bed. I needed time. I needed a plan. If I confronted Antonio now, I would lose everything, maybe even my safety. That night, I pretended to be asleep. I listened to every creak, every step, every breath from him. My heart did not stop pounding until daylight broke through the blinds. The next morning, I called in sick if being jobless could still count. I used the quiet hours to email a former colleague from my personal laptop. Her name was Gina. She had always been kind to me, even when the office turned cold after the incident. I did not go into detail. I just asked if we could meet in person somewhere public. She agreed. We met at a bookstore downtown. That was the first time I broke down. In the middle of the cafe, I cried until my throat burned. I told her everything, from the fake emails to the burner phone to the feeling that I had become a prisoner in my own life. Gina did not flinch.
She believed me.
She had seen Antonio once at a work event. She remembered how he hovered, how he held my waist a little too tightly. She said she always sensed something off. Then she asked the question that changed everything. "Do you have proof?" I nodded. We spent the next week gathering it. She connected me with a friend in IT who helped extract the metadata from the burner phone and linked it to my work laptop. They traced the dummy email account's origin. The recovery number was Antonio's old business line. I printed every log, every timestamp, every email. I built a timeline of his sabotage. But it was not just about the evidence. It was about reclaiming my reality. I reached out to an old mentor, Monica, a retired HR director from another firm. I told her everything. She coached me on how to present the case to my former employer, not to get the job back, but to clear my name. With her help, I sent a confidential report to the company's legal department. I attached everything. They opened an internal investigation quietly and promised discretion. Meanwhile, I played the role of the broken girlfriend at home. I smiled. I cooked. I kept my tone soft. But inside, I was steel. Until the night, I packed my things. Antonio came home to find the apartment nearly empty. "What is going on?" he asked, his voice cold. I stood by the door with my bag and said, "I know what you did, and soon everyone else will too." He stepped closer. His hands clenched, but I did not flinch. I held up my phone and said, "You touch me once, and the whole world gets the files." For the first time in years, he looked scared. I left that night and never looked back. The company later issued a formal statement clearing my name. I received a quiet settlement and a letter of apology. No lawsuit, just closure. That was all I wanted. I moved into a studio on the other side of Columbus. I started therapy. I found myself again, one tear, one breath, one small victory at a time. 3 months later, I was hired by a boutique PR agency. Smaller firm, better leadership, safer environment. When they asked why I left my last job, I simply said, "I survived something I will never let happen again." If you are listening to this and you feel like someone is stealing your power, one lie, one guilt trip, one silent manipulation at a time, I want you to hear this. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are not alone. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let me know how this story made you feel. And if it reminded you of anything in your own life, do not be afraid to share your truth. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you found this story powerful. Your voice matters, and your healing begins the moment you speak it.